This is Shannon from SIS4teachers.org. Thanks so much for joining us. In this video, we're going to talk about subtracting fractions with mixed numbers. I'm going to use these tools here to the right, the pattern blocks, to help us to kind of conceptually understand really what's going on in subtracting fractions with mixed numbers, especially when we don't have a fraction to kind of pull from. What does that look like? So our hexagon is going to be equal to 1 whole, our trapezoid is going to be equal to a half, our rhombus is going to be equal to a third, our triangle a sixth, and our brown piece here is going to equal to 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and kind of put a problem up that might be kind of simple. So if I were to take something like 2 2/3, and I asked you to just take away 1/3, that might be kind of easy to look at. We know that we want to build what we're asking so that we can show that you understand why this works and how you know what the concept is. So I'm going to build 2 2/3. If I've built my 2 2/3 and I want to take away 1/3, I know the answer to that is kind of easy. It's 2 1/3. But what happens when you don't have enough to pull from the first number? So in subtraction, we have two numbers. We call this one the minuend, and this one we call the subtrahend. So in this case, we had plenty in the minuend to pull away what we were asking. What happens if there isn't the right amount of pieces in the first number in the minuend to take away what's being asked to in the subtrahend? So let's take a look at a problem that might be a little bit different than this. Let's switch this around and say, let's say it says 2 1/3 maybe minus 2/3. So let's see if we can actually do that. I'm going to go ahead and build my 2 and my third. Now, I've built that minuend. Can I take away the subtrahend? Can I just pull that out right now? When I'm looking at that, it's not as easy. I can pull out 1/3. So what do I have to do to this 2/3 to help me to be able to do that? Well, in fact, I need to rename it, right? I need to, and sometimes people say borrow, but you're not really borrowing. You're going next door and borrowing one. No, we're not really doing that. We're going to rename 2/3 another equivalent fraction that will help us to take away that 2/3. So if I kind of decompose this and thought about another name that I could give, could I rename this? Would this be true if I named this 1? I kept my 1 going, and over here I'm going to make the other one that I was using, I'm going to make it thirds. Did I borrow or did I rename? So right now I'm renaming 2 1/3, 1 4/3. Let's see if that will work. 1 4/3. Does that still equal it? Let's check it. If I were to pick this up, there's my 2 1/3. So in fact, it is the same. I just renamed it in a way that can help me to understand what I'm doing when I'm subtracting fractions. And so over here I have my 1 4/3. They want us now to take away 2/3. So now it's very easy to take away the 2/3. And what am I left with? I'm left with 1 2/3. The idea here is to use these different fractional pieces to help you to understand really what's happening. In these videos, we like it when you can kind of show different examples. Beyond the examples that I'm using, you can feel free to comment on our YouTube channel with examples that you're using. We're going to do one more example that's going to take it just from maybe a whole. So let's say I had 3 and I want you to take away 1 1/4. Let's see, is that possible? Let's see. I'm going to first build my 3 so you can see it. So I have 1, 2, 3. And it wants us to take away 1 1/4. So with just the 3, I obviously take the 1 away. It's going to be no problem. But it's going to be a little bit hard for me to take away that 4th, isn't it? So I need to think about this as renaming. I like to show kids this in a horizontal way versus kind of stacked at first so that they can really visualize. Kind of look using a character from our math mites really, what sort of brings this in is our character DC, because he's kind of decomposing this number and sort of renaming it to another number to help him to be able to subtract. So let's see, if I were to take this, maybe I want to just leave my 2 off to the side, but I want to change this 1 so I can take off the 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this as 2 And how many fourths do we have here? We have 4/4. That's a picture of what I renamed it, right? So over here I have the 2. Over here I'm going to have my 4/4. Is this still equal to 3? Or did I change the quantity? Did I borrow and give it to someone and they're going to give it back? Not necessarily, because it's still equal to the same thing. So we took this and renamed the 3, 2, and 4/4. That way there, I can now take away the subtrahend. I can now take my 3, which is equal to 2 and 4/4, and take away 1 and 1/4. When I'm done with this, my answer is 1 and 3/4. What we want you to see in these videos is really how powerful conceptual tools are to use when trying to understand beginning parts of fractions. We want to move through CPA, doing it within the concrete, and then we want kids to be able to move it into the pictorial, and then into the abstract. We want them to understand the why, not just the how. Can you prove it to us? We want you to pause this video and use it in your classroom and kind of show us on our YouTube channel different examples that you might be using in your class. You can use this video as a lesson launch to launch the idea with your students, but you also could use this video in a flipped classroom style where a group of students might watch this video, have the pattern blocks, and have them create other problems that would be able to match using this concept that we're using with the types of fractions that we're doing. That way there, when they come to you in your math with someone station, math with the teacher station, they're able to really be focused with you as you're looking at this concept to see that they conceptually understand why they're maybe changing this number to be able to subtract it from that mixed number and using part of that minuend to help them subtract the subtrahend. We hope that you've enjoyed the video, and join us on our website at sis4teachers.org for many other tutorial videos in our fraction series.